Hello and welcome. This is another Storytellers Meteor stream. This is the FOSS hour where I'll be working on open source stuff, in this case, preparations for the Impact Conference this Thursday and Friday. Just came back from a gym, so I can get my heading a little bit. My name is Jan Dvorak, aka Storyteller or Storyteller CZ on some other social media. So, let's get say sorted out here. Apologies, as I said, I just arrived back from gym and need to get ready. So first things first, let me open up a new window and let's get going. This is FOSS hour. So first things I will do is I will look at GitHub, and if there is anything new, and from out, then I'll take it from there. Kind of give you insight of where we are with Impact and everything else going on. So first, let's look at my notification. Let's dismiss the ones that are not of importance. So we have a PR fix. Guys are responding to that, an issue. And let's look if we have anything new in the Meteor RSpec story. So just reproduction of an ongoing issue. So that's pretty cool. That's what I wanted to see. And now I kind of want to go back to something I have been working on for a little bit, a mantra. And one of the things that I have been kind of doing, you could say, or looking at is two things. I have been looking at the Tao of React and Tao of Node, which is from Alex Kondov, who's been probably around the software around the same time as I have been. And he has also some writing fiction. I'll have to check that out. Oh, so he is, you could say, maybe a better version of me and interesting, or at least fantasy version of me. Something interesting. I have to check him out more, kind of looking into him. But as I said, I'm right now looking at his Tao of Node, Tao of React, and he has like a Tao of full stack, which I find interesting. I'll probably have to buy his book and kind of give it a read and go through it, all that stuff. So let's make this a bit bigger. So that's kind of what I'm using to expand my, let's say, insights into what I want to kind of what I want to do with a mantra. And through that, I've realized that I have been really getting too much, or how should I say it, kind of sticking too close to what mantra originally was. And I think the Tao of Node and Tao of React kind of nicely play into it when it comes to the architecture part, which is what mantra mostly is. And so I'm going to want to kind of include that. But one big thing I've kind of looked at it, especially when I start thinking about the Tao of full stack, is that the mantra is for Meteor JS, and that is full stack. So one of the big parts there is that the server side is, you could say, is an afterthought. It's in the appendices, and that just that just is not, I think, correct. That just doesn't make um, enough sense to me, because this is a full stack framework, so having that be in the appendix by itself is it just does not fit. It should be much more in the center. So that's one of the big things uh, that I want to change, that I want to add, you could say, into the spec, and reorganize things. So let me switch to sharing over here. I'm using Windsurf, and I will be using, let's see, what do we have here? So we have some new Code Supernova, and of course then we have, let's see all the models, what we have here. Cloud 3.7, then we have Cloud Sonnet 4. I have to check out the Code Supernova, but that's not necessarily what we want. And just noticed earlier there was been some video about Grok 4 and it for coding. Here we have just Grok 3, which I like, but I'm not sure if I want it for what I'll be doing here. So I think actually I want to stick with GPT-5 with maybe high reasoning. We'll have to try. Let's see how much. Oops, how much do I have left? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it should be here. That's strange that I don't have that here. I'm using it normally in WebStorm, so it's not. I don't remember how they have probably moved it here, and I'll stick with code. Context. No, I want to have this entire things, and of course we have here the sample block React. So let's delete that one, because we'll be kind of redoing that. We'll have to redo the rules that we had here as well. So first of all, read through the spec. I have been thinking about this for a while, and I want to make some important changes. Number one, since Meteor.js is full stack, the appendix on server needs to become its own chapter. And be expanded. So we'll expand on that. Whoops, that's where we have. Apologies, I'm just going to prepare my tea. Haven't had even. Well, I literally just came back from the gym and just gonna sit down here, and after this I have really just hour and 15 minutes or so on this, because then I have another meeting, or you could say workshop, where I'll be improving my writing skills. So You can probably hear in my voice that I'm a bit losing it, which is strange because I haven't been using it a lot, but that means I'll be just adding a lot of honey into my black tea. So hopefully that will help. That will help in that manner. So yeah, and maybe if we have time, I will actually I will have, but I doubt it. But there will be some time to work on my final goodbye presentation here for Impact, which I'll kind of discuss what will be my next steps after the conference. So, but first, to the task at hand. And let's see. Yeah. So number 2, I want to expand the server-side chapter with insights and architecture recommendations from of note. Do take specific, do take into account that this is Meteor.js, which is built on top of Node and Express. So a lot of the things in there, I would say, like, are already covered, and we're gonna go through that. Are already covered. Number 3, and this is where we're gonna go into the detail of React. Expand the client side with insights from this article, Tao of React. Take into account that we want to have data components to handle retrieval, to handle Meteor.js APIs. So I want this to get started. This is going to take a while. That's just kind of like another thing to say notice here, or what I've noticed over the past few months. It's I think that in general the AIs are getting slower in their responses. I think it might be partially to do just it just grew in scope and everything. So really not that much of surprise that this usually happens. So, oh, this might be stuck. Let's retry. So the main thing what I want from this is just to kind of reorder things and kind of put the big architecture things from the articles into Mantra, which, and so that it's also in context. So that is the idea why I'm just kind of using the AI here at the beginning, and of course then I'll have to go through it and adjust everything as usual. And I'm going to, of course, abuse the extra time it gave me to get a snack in here and get some tea and everything. And this is also a great opportunity for you guys to ask me any questions. If you do so, to the question here, what am I doing today? So it will be mostly fixing this and then some more work. We had some hiccups with the conferencing software that we'll be using for Impact, so I'll have to get that sorted in anytime that I will get outside of the stream and so on. So once that is sorted, that will be a big relief, because that's where because if we cannot get it sorted, then I have to quickly find some other conferencing software that we can use. Mhm. And another big thing here, and this is something probably I'll have to discuss with the people at the conference, is, if at the end is this still mantra, or maybe I should rename this to something else. So, and in my case, it would be probably something Japanese, but usually Japanese are kind of minimalistic, and that does not necessarily fall in with Meteor, because Meteor is a monolith. It has a lot of stuff in there. Uh, so might have to find a better word. So okay, and you can kind of see the thinking here on the side, where I have, like, pretty much like 3 chapters about the spec, and then 2, 4, 5, 6 appendices. Um, so that's of course, I have some messages on the side that happens. So let's see it. So it's working. It added it as a number 4. Then it should probably rename the future work to number 5, and then contributing to number 6. But I'll let it cook for a moment, and I have to kind of go back here to the beginning, to where it all begins. So mantra application for Meteor. With mantra, we are trying to achieve 2 main goals: maintainability and future proof. Which I think the first one was mostly achieved, but the second one, because it was not maintained, and because of where kind of where React went, it just didn't fulfill. Okay, question. I saw a few days ago that you wanted to write a new book about Meteor.js. Um, I have been talking with guys and everybody. The problem with a new book, all that stuff, is that there just is not enough interest. That's the sad realization of where we are right now in the community, which makes me unhappy. But it's reality, so I have to deal with it. So the closest I'm going to come to a book is going to be, say, this new version of Mantra, or whatever name this is going to have. So um, that is the idea. Hmm. So oh man, this is So much potential, so much hopes in those days. And where are we today? But I think, kind of also going back to the book, once I have mantra or the new mantra figure out, I'm going to write tutorials and other things, and in general play with it, because one of the big things is, and I think I can probably show up the uh maybe not show it up exactly right now, but for the future, what I want is to make sure, as you can see here, I've prepared rules for Copilot and others, so that LLMs can take it and actually build with it. And I wanted to have both for React and both for uh, Solid as well, because that's the HTML in JS approach that I will be looking at, and it will also kind of give me more testing feedback, because right now it's just an idea and I need to test it out. I need to see how it works with reality, how it will kind of apply to reality, and from that, I think there will be quite good findings, and those findings I will be then reflect on how to better kind of make the architecture. And that's why I also say it's like, React / solid based UI component layer. I think this will need to be updated, because it's mhm. So state management is not provided. You cannot rely on GraphQL and Meteor in this. In your app. So about the component layer, we have the containers there. It helps to unit test UI actions and integrations. It has standard directory layout, file naming, and everything else. And now we are adding. It has. Or you could say, let's just use. It has. Actually, no. It has. I would say the stuff. It's always difficult with words. It defines how server should look like. How Meteor.js. What Mantra is not? It's not an application platform. Mantra is just a Meteor as a application platform. I need to start using Meteor.js. It's not a boilerplate, even though we have directory structure. It's not a code generator. That's something I want to have in the future. What is Mantra? It's a set of standard for how to architect a Meteor app. It also comes with a set of created libraries that help you implement Mantra on top of Meteor. That in the past used to actually be actual libraries specifically for mantra. In this case, I will be curating them for you. And I need to motivate myself to rewrite the tutorial for Blaze.js, then it can be worth it finally. Yeah, it would be nice to have that one rep written. I think Jan Kuster would be a good resource. Okay, why a spec? Mantra's application architecture. There will be a lot of stakeholders for Mantra, including app developers, tool builders, tutorial authors, and project managers. So it's very important to have a common standard everyone follows. That's what specification does. I think it's just finished here, so we'll have to check that soon. The specifications written in simple language. However, it might feel comfortable if you have sound knowledge of the following areas: ES 2024, TypeScript, React Solid, React Containers, and Meteor Basics. And appendices will go into that. So let's quickly jump here. Okay, we have that here. The thing is, one big thing that I have been struggling in the past, and I'm still, is Flow Router. That one was originally used by Mantra and everything, but how it's being used today, how it works, no longer works with React, and how React works and single page applications. I have to invest more time into, say, server-side rendering, but even there, it would not work as much as I would like it to. So that is a big thing that I have to figure out, and I'm not happy about it because I would love some better router. But this will have to become a React router, unless there's something I'm missing from Flow Router. The biggest thing is how hooks works. That really screwed us over, you could say, because then you have the nesting, you have the containers, and that's where kind of Flow Router falls short, because you cannot put containers above a certain route and then have the inheritance and everything. Very sad about that. So sayonara, Flow Router. It's not going to work. That said, after Impact, I will be investing some time into Universe INTN, which is the de facto internationalization and localization package for Meteor, but it has its own schema for the language files, and I want to integrate formatted message, which follows an actual standard. So, and that's what I use. That's what React INTL uses. So what? So once I figure out how to get that working, I will migrate from React INTL to Universe INTL, which will make it easier eventually down the road to go from React to Solid. And I have a typo here. And yeah, so that's the idea. Because then what I'm going to do is just a component where similar to React INTL, but it will be kind of plugged into the Meteor infrastructure, so it will be much more better. So yeah, this is already pretty big, pretty big file. So let's look at what we have here. Actually, let's do the easy parts first. Future work will be chapter 5, and contributing will be chapter 6. A, B, C, D, E, F, appendices. So, sorry, appendix B has been moved, so let's delete it. Okay, did we miss it? Okay, so overview is done. Appendix A is updated as well. Let's look at number 2. So core components, client side focus. Mhm. Client side. I think we can still stick with the focus, but it's not at the exclusion of anything else. So mantra is special attention to the client side of your app. Mantra does not mix clients and server code. Instead, recommends code sharing. Here is the reason why. Client side is where you put a lot of effort. It's the biggest part of your code base. Server side code base is a little simpler to manage and organize. In the future, client side app will interact with the server using a schema. Client side apps will have no idea how the server was implemented. So I think we are already 10 years on in that future. And in many cases, it's still the case, but I think that's not entirely what we want. We just look at the. I'm just amazed here with how far ahead you could say maybe, or how much Aurora saw. Though even like 10 years ago, I think might have been, if you work on a circles, and I think when he's talking here about the schema, what really came through, of course, you have the Open API and GraphQL. So I think in this case, he was looking towards GraphQL and Apollo GraphQL specifically. So this has come to pass. So this needs to be updated. These things are tough. How to reword this specifically? And this is, I think, where I'm kind of slowly really drifting away from Mantra, especially away from the isomorphic apps and all that stuff. Let me just also reopen this article to kind of remind myself. And this is back. Let me. Okay, I'll have to share it again, like that. So, in a way, This is kind of antithesis of Meteor. What Erda is uh, going here for, because it says no to isomorphic apps, which is what Meteor is. You have a single code base that you then run on the web. You can put it into iOS, Android, um, and whenever else you have. And it is a good start. And I'm still, in my projects, personal projects, I am still in that phase. And I think like even big companies can drift a long time on this. But eventually, I think that you will have to kind of bite the bullet and optimize for all these platforms. Another big one that kind of is on this is a Weekend, which Lori, who runs it, is an absolute beast of trying to run it freaking everywhere. It just still gives me the chill every time I kind of look where he's trying to run it, where he's trying to put it. And yeah, Lori is a beast in this. Big head down and bow, because wow. So Mantra does not believe in universal apps. It encourages, and I'm going to change at least when your application grows beyond a certain size, or no, especially as your application grows. There's multiple apps for different platforms with code sharing and usage of PBA when it's common to have a single server to interact with a few clients apps. So I still have to really rethink this more into the future. Big thing is this one. Mantra encourages use of schema such as GraphQL for communication between client and server. This will make it easier to or even better, it is important to wait which and I think this is also where Grapher really comes into this as well, which I have to really get into. It's important to wait which type of data fetching to use based on your application's need and potential separation of parts of the client into their own applications that might be outside of Meteor.js. So what I'm trying to kind of say here is that, and this is some, for example, the example of Liter Universe, because it's a big monolith, but we do plan in the future, once we get, say, the traffic, to take the reading part and make that its own application that will then get the data through GraphQL. But the rendering and all that stuff will then be super fast, and also there will be less reliance on the Meteor server. I think what might even happen is I might just spin up, say, our own server, or like specific lightweight server that's just GraphQL server, nothing else. But probably what's going to happen is we'll gonna still keep the Meteor server, but we'll have this front end that will be just for readers and reading stories, all that stuff, and that will become but then maybe it's like on subdomain, or we'll see how it goes. But then we can kind of spread that out on, say, the islands and all that stuff, for faster loading. So let's go back to here. Let me guys know if you cannot read it, if I should make it bigger, but I think this is fine. When we discuss mantra further in specification, it will be about the client side of your app. False. That's gone, because we do have the server. Based on the other factors, good idea to mix client and it's not a good idea to mix client and server code together. And I'll expand on that. Let's remove this all together. Because already on the server side components, the appendix is gone. We have a specific chapter. So server integration. While manager focus on client side architecture, it's important how client modules interact with server side code. The integration happens primarily through two mechanisms: Meteor methods / publications, methods publications, real-time data, and operations that need to leverage Meteor's reactive system. The UI, thanks to Meteor's subscriptions. And we have Apollo GraphQL. You might use additional expansions on this system, like Grapher. Apollo GraphQL. We have some examples: modern ECMAScript. Yes. I need at least Meteor 1.3, but we expect you to use at least Meteor 3.0. We use React or Solid as the UI, presentation layer, and mantra. Both are supported, but you should choose one for your project and stick with it consistently. choosing between rect and solid, that will be same. UI component principles, that you choose React or solid. UI components should follow these principles. UI command should not know anything about the rest of the app and should not read or modify application states. That's mostly true. I think there are always exceptions, but it's just like, in a focused things. And really, this is the problem of Mantra, where really the move in React to hooks screwed it over so badly. Data elements handler used to render UI components should be passed in via props from the container or passed in as an action props from inside, or passing from inside event handlers or hooks, or via hooks. Yeah, it is sometimes that we use temporarily local state inside UI components, but that they should never be referred outside of its own component, or container. UI components should be pure functions. I think here I want to, again, let's quickly check the React for any additional principles that we could add here. Oh, come on. Data and other so it's the same. It's adding here. It is sometimes these temporal. Your components should be atomic. It should not have side effects. The only side effects allowed are those that are triggered by user interactions and are handled by actions. Your components should be testable and should not rely on global context. Yes, that's and this is a good thing here. I'll add here. This is why we pass them via props from containers. When writing your UI components, you can include other components. Here are some places you can import components. UI components, you have an app, UI components from npm. Any containers in your app. Yeah, I think this is kind of given. Use pure functions. And this needs to be integrated in the above, because this doesn't make sense. To just have it like, without React in Mantra. No, it's a merger of these. So let me grab this, reject, and let's push it here. No, I think it might be actually even here. So keep components small and focused, prefer composition over inheritance, extract list items and complex subtrees into their own components, collocate state with the components that it owns it, but keep state minimal. I think let's just, this is kind of where you have it, keep state minimal, derive values from props where possible, avoid duplicate derive state. Another one, it's did something I did not want it to. Stabilize identities, use stable key values, avoid array index for dynamic lists, pass stable callbacks from containers, memorize only when profiling indicates a benefit. I think this should be kind of its own important. Isolate side effects in use effects. Use precise dependency and proper cleanup. Don't use effects for a simple duration computer. So I think that these things will be what will be especially there in the rules. Separate data from presentation. This is pretty much this is one of the core of Mantra. Separate data from presentation. And I think this part actually about these side effects should be here. So they separate that goes in here. Then has data and handlers used to render the UI commands should be passed in via props from containers or passed in as an action. So that kind of follows from each other. What we have here: preferred controller inputs for forms, encapsulate form and state validation in custom hooks. Handle loading errors, loading errors explicitly at boundaries, containers or layout components. Keep UI components free of data loading concerns. Yes. So that's kind of what we can keep. Oh, this is still something I have to really work on, is the actions. That's where I'm still kind of weak on. But I'll figure it out. I think that's where we'll see most changes within the action. So we have React solid state, Meteor or aka Minimongo, Tracker, Reactive Div, again, local state flow router, React router, Redux, GraphQL. I should probably add in here local storage, remote state. That one is it's a very specific. Okay. Real-time data, we use Meteor Minimongo, publications and subscriptions. Static use Apollo GraphQL. Local, and we have to kind of get rid of flow router. Sadly, it just does not fit in. But if I can figure out how to fit it in, just because I'm not too fond of React router recently, but that's just generally because I'm not too fond the direction which React is heading. React router is reacting to it fine, which not so good for me. Side effects and state management. I think nothing has really changed here, and I want to data components for Meteor APIs. And Mantra data components or data hooks encapsulate interactions with Meteor's reactive data sources and methods. They provide a clear boundary between Meteor API and UI. Subscription hooks, method hooks. This is not define client stubs in the modules configs. Story minimum will they roll back on server error. This is not. No, you don't really have to, because that meteor takes care of that via minimongo. Error handling again. Optimistic updates is what meteor takes care by default if you use it properly. Okay, you put your resolution of the method in a common folder. So this is subscribes, post list. Yeah, that's one option for, but it would not be in imports. Let's see, do we have it here? Not really. It would be into imports, UI, core would still be there, or in this case, what is it getting? Use method. It would be under libs, use method. Yes, that would be. I'm not sure. I have to double check here if maybe the I might be right here, because I said, let's check quickly the layout here. Okay, API configs modules. So yeah, AI was correct. I've used method. Use callback. It's actually not bad. Not bad for it to be generated like this. Pretty impressed with the use method. Can actually work. If this works, then I might probably like then we can create some mantra components like that. Usage in a container. React router DOM. Use navigate. Use post list, so loading post. Handle create, and then you have this on create and creating. And this would actually be something even more, because I said that I want to have the containers for handling, and I know the states. This wouldn't even be here. So let's see if we can put it together. So it would be ta-da. No. So loading posts, let's just say error. And I'll just need to name the component something. Subscription. What else should I? Let me think. Subscription. State. Let's just put it like that. And of course, we must not forget data, so it knows when to display the actual the actual thing, and we might have then expanded to if there are no data, then just display that, this, and that, the other. These Sparky UI comes from agnostics to make data access predictable, testable, usable across screens. I think we don't need this one. That sounds so AI like, so I don't want anything near that. Okay, routing with flow router. This entire thing. If we look at it, I have made some adjustments here, but mhm. This is really what I wanted, to be able to use flow routers so I can use it uh, more better with actually with both. I can actually have, say, potentially solid application and React application, both of them, but it's just the matter, because then when I tested it later on, what happened was that every time I go to another page, I need to reinitialize all the things. So all the, say, role subscriptions and anything else that I need for, to display properly the user. So while in normal, say React app with React router, I can do that once, and I have, the menu stays the same, the footer stays the same, and only, say, the middle changes based on the app or on the route. With Flow Router, at least, as far as I had it, and maybe we just need to create a new mounter or something better. I was not able to kind of change only the center of the app, and every time it had to reload everything, which uh, is just not performant, because kind of again does all the computations and everything. Not what I wanted. So did I miss something? Yeah. The thing here is, because of the mounter, I expected that the main layout is going to stay the same, but it just, what it does is loads the main layout and then puts the, posts into that, which not that is just not working. And I would have to figure out how to keep the main layout so I can keep together, I could say, everything related that I should that I don't want to reload constantly on every change. So I would have to, I need to figure out, we either need a new mounter for React and also Blaze, which we don't have for Flow Router. But right now we don't have that, so all of this needs to go with all of this needs to go away, and it needs to be rewritten for React Router. So that's still something I need to figure out in detail and try out before the conference. So I'll have to come back to this. Authorization and redirection. This is about as well. So I think this entire thing will have to be rewritten. So for libraries, I think that's gonna stay the same. Code quality testing, I've already changed that. Component testing, I need to get more into it when it comes to these things, actions testing and so on. But this one is the same. Nothing to really add here. And I need to get all of this. I think I will need help with from Jan Kuster to get this going. But more importantly, Mantra modules. Mantra force module architecture, all the components Mantra should reside inside module. You can as many modules you like and communicate between them via imports, application context, and module application context like INTL, user profiles, or the logged in user header should be provided via context, which should be built in the core module and put at the top of the router so it's accessible to all modules. Module definition, passenger modules were self-initializing. We are moving away from the magic-like approach to be more explicit, easier to track where is what coming from. The entry into module in general should be via router.tsx in the root of the module that has been there's a default export with the module routes. And caveat to that, implicit modules, same. Core modules, core routes, application configuration, common libraries, common actions, common components, and other application specific code. We have submodules. Inside a module, you cannot have a submodule. This is a decision made to prevent unnecessary complexity. Otherwise, it's possible to write multiple layers of nested module, and that's very hard to manage. Single entry point. And we have that. So we are still kind of stuck here with the app router. Let's look at the quick layout. We only discussed client-side directory layout. Learn more about organizer server-side directory layout. Refer to server architecture in the next chapter. Top-level directory support, API, configs, modules. That's inside the imports. Let's have a look in all of them. Now, I have here a bit of a dilemma because we have the components and containers separate, which kind of goes a bit against the rules of, or kind of how React should be. So this is especially in, if I go to, let's see, if I go to the Tao of React, and this is where the Meteor core team got inspired a lot for their examples and tutorials. Let me see where they have it, application structure. So let's switch to this. Let me zoom in a little bit. So group by, you could say route module. So we are kind of doing the first part. We are grouping by modules. And here he has, what he doesn't recommend, containers and components. It said it should be, components together. And I would say potentially even going as further, moving components in folders. So let me actually here for their layout, we want to change the components and containers to instead follow components in folder approach from the tower. So I'll have it start working on that, move them in their own folder. So that is the idea of this. I'm not too happy with the index, but at the same time, I think it's no, it's fine actually. That's just a technical annoyance, you could say. So let's let it do that, and that is something I really have to get into. Um, so yeah, that's kind of what I think this is in general kind of where we are heading in the infrastructure. It follows what we have in a way what started with React, really, of kind of everything that you need for a component in that one file. Here he has the SCSS, but even then, he says, use CSS and JS, which I use, style components. I think that just fits well into the React paradigm, and how and what it should be. So let's switch back to Mantra. Let's go that way so you can see more. So that module got updated. Components contains no. This is not the correct approach. It's almost there. Collocated subcomponents in Cypress folder when they are not reused elsewhere. Collocated data containers as container inside the same folder. Collocate tests and styles with the component. Optionally add bar file to re-export the modules component. Wait, that's that did not follow it properly. It's getting too. It's thinking. Okay, this is the index. No, we do not want this. This is something that the AI does. It just puts index everywhere. It's annoying, and it's bad for so many reasons, including I would say the compiles, because then you have index everything everywhere. It's everything is exported, imported everywhere, and it increases at the minimum, increases the build time, because there needs to be much more resolution and tree shaking. So this is incorrect. Public component exports. And instead, I'll have this. You know what? Screw it. I am going to copy what is in the article, because that just makes better sense. It's cleaner. And I don't understand why the AI just couldn't get it. And the only thing that I need to add in is first of all, let's have it TSX. We want to encourage use of TypeScript. Okay. The tab for completion, yeah, sometimes is not good, especially you want to tab in here. Optional collocated styles. It's not optional, it's just test. And now it's gone. See, every time I try to go with the tab, it's stuck. Okay. Now we have the biggest discussion of all always is the naming pattern. So it will be header. I don't want that container. That's just not. What I use in my application is header data, for example, would be the but given it's not just receiving data, I think container might be better name. UI component presentation. You know that come on, I just want. How do I? What? It's just because I'm not used to. Okay. I'm just not used to it. No, I just want freaking. Okay. I think that makes much more sense. over here. Guidelines. Each COM has its own folder. We've covered that. Containers and components. Theory, place them next to its UI component in the same folder. Should I just do header.container? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, we don't need that. I think we don't even need anything like this. This is just a bit too much. It's TS files with constants. So we have the constants, we have configs. Master client modules core configs. I think this is something that I need to quickly check. Where does this go? Okay, not necessary. That's outdated. And we'll have to probably make it same. So libs, router. Again, routers will still need an adjustment here. And that's, I think, it's API. And then we have the definitions. So let's go into this server architecture. So 1meter.js. Don't forget the JS. Oh no, we have 6 minutes left before I need to run. So let's quickly get through this as much as we can. And the rest will be at impact. Let me see. Do I have a banner? Yes. Don't forget impact.meterjs.community. We have very little time before we are hit. So 1meter.js is a full stack. Mantra keeps a clear separation in client and server concerns. This chapter provides practical guidance for structure operating your Meteor JS server using modern node patterns while leveraging Meteor strengths. DDP pops up, methods, accounts, and optional GraphQL. I think these goals don't make that. That's not part of the specification. And you don't put recommended because this is a spec. We say this is how it is. Keep server code under for shared definitions and server for server only, varying startups and bootstrapping for feature level isolation. You might to collocate API inside a module when it's meant to be portable. Typical layout imports, schemas, server configs, startups. Yeah, I think the publications, just from the nature of them, they can only be on servers, so it doesn't make to be it cannot be there. Methods, collection, schemas. That's how it works. Okay, note shared types and collection modules live in collections. Yes. For highly modular apps, a module might include its own API directory, as we said. So publications. Okay, server publications, server config security, startup indexes. No, that indexes are part of the collection definition. Rate limits. That would be under configs. Startup. Yeah. I don't really know what would be in the startups. That would be, now we would have configs, say Apollo. And for if you want to have like a startups, default users, that would be kind of there. Or it would be just, starter, it might be an index or something like that. Indexes in the collection folder. Don't forget to put them behind meteor.is server. No, this methods, the PRCP. Why is this here? Authorization. That was very strange. Or maybe I just had something stuck and pressed the Z one. Okay. This will be in configs, as we said. Okay, this is what I hate about AI. Sometimes it just starts putting things that should not be here. But it's also my fault because I should specify this as language for specification. So a lot of these considerations should not be here. Errors. Publication. Why is it held? And it's just, this is also old with Express middleware. GraphQL. Gonna get into that security, performance, and scalability, configuration setting, and so on. Meteor logging, or Winston. Again, this is okay. I think that's there, and we have the future work that has not really changed. This has not changed, and I just need to rename the appendices. Okay, with that, I'm already late for the next meeting, but thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for the questions and everything. By Thursday, you will have the final results ready. I hope to see you at Impact, where we can talk more about this. And hopefully, Mantra will become something more interesting and live as things goes. I think given how many changes I've already made, it might be maybe better to name it something else, something more appropriate, but at the same time, uh, that's also a downside because we are kind of losing the name of that. So that will be something I will be considering on Thursday with the audience. So make sure to join me at Impact, and I will see you then. Bye bye.